Don't buy another pair of glasses until you've seen what this new invention can do.
Hey, Christina.
Hey, Rebecca.
Hey, is everything virtual today?
Yes. We don't have an applicant yet.
Okay, that'd be Dean Packard.
Is anybody here from the applicant? I don't see Dean yet.
Yep, me either.
Christina, there was someone that said they were waiting in the lobby, and I didn't recognize the name, so
They were let in.
okay.
Megan Wilhelm, are you with the applicant? Let's give it a few more minutes to see if we can get somebody from the applicant's team.
Christina,
Yes,
I just talked to Dean. He said he can't find the link. Can somebody send him the link?
I'm calling him in right now. Let's see if he works. If that
Okay.
works.
Yeah, he said he couldn't find the link.
Okay, there he is. Hey, Dean, are you with us now?
Oh,
No,
I think
there you go. I was muted. I'm here.
Okay. Okay, great. All right, we're going to get started.
Alrighty.
All right, good morning, everybody. I am Christina Sorrento. I'm the Chief of the Intake and Regulatory Coordination Division, and this is the DRC meeting for the Ancient Oak. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded. The purpose of this meeting is for the applicant to ask any questions they might have based upon the comments that you received on Friday. I will ask Mariah Claiborne is your lead reviewer. I will ask her to highlight any of the major items we should discuss and then turn it over to the applicant, any items. So go ahead, Mariah.
Good morning, everyone. So this project is for, I'm sorry, it's for 13330 Darnestown Road. It's for a two lot subdivision. So the major concerns, and this is zone R200, the main concerns that we had were definitely some design concerns, environmental for noise analysis, which we'll touch. I'll allow everyone to touch bases on that. But Dean, did you have any major questions off of the comments that you received before we got into agency comments?
I was just curious about the noise analysis. What standards do I have to meet?
Hey, Dean, this is Doug Johnson. Under the noise guidelines, this project reaches the trigger points, i.e. you're adjacent to an arterial road, and that arterial road has an ADT of between 5,000 and 20,000. The most recent ADT is 11,000 for Darnestown, and the house is within 300 feet of that road. So you have to have a noise analysis. This has to be done by a firm that's certified in noise analysis. Usually we see either by the ones I've seen are Phoenix Noise and Vibration or Hush Acoustics are probably the two firms I see consistently submitting noise analysis to us. Now, the noise analysis may also incorporate noise mitigation techniques. So that has to be done for this property. Any questions?
I've worked with Phoenix before, and I'll reach out to them.
Okay, thanks, Dean.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Thank you, Dean. Next, I wanted to touch bases for the design concept. So we were proposing, well, staff was proposing and recommending that the house be shifted towards the front, and also changing the location of the garage. And is Jeff online to speak about the shifting of the garage?
Hey, Mariah, I'm here. Hi, Dean. Yeah, there are really two big concerns. The biggest one, I guess, would be, as Mariah was mentioning, just trying to shift the house closer towards the road. So it'd be the proposed residence. And that's to try to minimize the length and the width of the shared driveway. So where you have to have the 20-foot width, trying to reduce the extent to which that has to be paved going back into the site. And then the other would be to locate the proposed garage away from that shared driveway. We have shown this in a sketch, which we can share later. But by doing that, it would help to provide a better front for the home out along Darnestown Road and just provide for a better visual appearance overall. And the other part of it would be to try to configure more of a T turnaround. So having the garage closer to that shared driveway makes it a little more difficult to try to do more of a 90-degree type of T. So those were the two major concerns that we had design-wise. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, if they were electing to do like a side load garage, how, and you're talking about flipping the house basically?
Yeah, essentially just kind of mirroring the house. Like imagine where the center is, mirror it, place the garage farther away. It would not be side loading it, although I don't know, that could potentially be something to look at. But actually mirroring the house would place the garage farther away from that shared driveway. So doing that would require more of a 90-degree T. That makes
Then
sense?
you'd have a lot more driveway then, I guess.
Potentially.
And you would impact that tree 37 also. So
Depending on, sorry, go ahead.
Are you talking about bringing it all the way up to the building restriction line? You know, there's setback issues also, I believe.
Sure. I don't know the exact distance offhand, Dean. It's something that we could talk about.
Okay, all right, I can figure it out.
Hi, Dean. This is Sandra Pereira. Just to piggyback on this comments, the drawings show a 40-foot BRL. So we assumed that there was room to move that house forward a little bit more. And the goal would be to reduce the length of the shared driveway. So if the house moves forward, then the shared driveway can be shorter. In addition to what Chef was describing, to place the garage on the opposite side of the road. And the goal there is so that when people approach the house, the garage is not the first thing they see, but instead they see the house and the main entry of the house. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Let us know if you have questions.
Well, it was just that, the other houses on the block are set back further, and that's kind of why I pushed it back.
Yeah, I think the two immediate houses to the left and right are a little bit back, but the one after that is already forward quite a bit. So I think there's a mix of setbacks in this along this frontage, and I think we can work with you to find something that works for everybody.
Okay, well, if it works for everybody, moving the house forward is not an issue.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So next I will go into probably here. Let's see. I know that from zoning, Melissa, she had a comment about providing the 30-foot accessory height to ensure that that is the height for that. I saw too that the plans and e-plans were sent back, so I will send that back to you just for other revisions. I do know that for DOT, you do have to show your sidewalk. So that I don't know if that was revised or not. See, from Marie, do you have comments about or any other comments that you can address to Dean?
I think my stuff was pretty straightforward. Obviously, if you move the house and change the driveway, I just need to see it again. The big thing for me was the apron needs a little bit cleanup to meet fire department access requirements. Other than that, I'm good.
Thank you. Was anyone from Stormwater Management here? I know that we spoke during interagency meeting about some comments, but I didn't see anything related to Dean.
Yeah, this is Mark Etheridge. I'm here. We have got the comments back from us already. Dean, we just need to make sure that the lot you're creating looks like there's a good chance that you can provide full stormwater management for it. So when you're moving things around, just show us that. We're not going to need you to show, unless you're doing improvements on the existing lot that's remaining, we're not going to need you to show stormwater management on that lot. It's really unenforceable and it doesn't work very well. If they're going to have a permit anyway for some proposed work, then they'll have to provide stormwater to the maximum extent, but you can leave that off.
We did provide stormwater management for the existing house when that was developed 10 years ago.
Okay, so that's existing stuff.
Yeah, the house behind is existing, and that was permitted by DPS.
Okay, I just saw the dry wells shown, and I assumed you were proposing to add those to an existing house. So we won't need to do that. Just show the new lot just needs to be able to support itself with stormwater management. That's it. And you've already got our letter back from Alex.
Yeah, the only question I had with that letter was the drainage to the culvert, like 800 feet away to the south page. How to model the runoff from all these. It's down. It's further west on Darnestown Road. It's way off the page, but you wanted to model the culvert, for the 10-year storm, like 900 feet away, as all the water drains to it. Is that,
No, we need to know from DOT that there's adequate public conveyance for the increase in flow. That could be in the open section of the drainage area, if there's not a storm drain there, or if there's a culvert that needs to be checked, you need to check that. But that's going to be something we're going to need verification from the agency for. And we're doing this for all concepts that are increasing imperviousness into the public right of way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the culvert itself necessarily, but the public conveyance.
Okay. Because it just kind of sheet flows that way in different ways. And, it's, there's a, as you can see from this plan right now, there's a ridge. Some of the water goes to the street and some of the water goes to the back lot. So it's kind of convoluted how it, really changes much, but I can come up with
be much.
I can come up with something.
Yeah, just make sure that is from the agency, not just don't submit us the comps. We can't approve them. It's got to come from the agency, from DOT.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any other comments that they wanted to make or touch bases on?
Mariah, just give the highlights and then turn over to Dean. So if we've handled the highlights, applicant can go ahead.
Okay.
I do have a comment. I don't know. I logged in a little bit late and I was having microphone problems. This is Megan Wilhelm with Well and Septic. So I did want to mention our approval on this plan. It was accidentally approved, but we did have some comments, so it would have been denied. I did make that comment. I went ahead and added some comments. So I was not able to find the approved well and septic plan for this lot. There is acceptable perk data, but as far as well and septic is concerned, it doesn't look like this lot was ever approved by us. So Dean, if you have a copy of that, you would need to send a PDF to us. But I would like to say there is acceptable perk data, so it could move forward, but we would need a review on it prior to this moving forward. My other comment is about the electrical line that will have to be relocated and have to meet our setbacks. So you haven't shown that. I assume you are going to relocate it and show it. Same thing with the water line that has to meet our setbacks to the septic area, or it's going to have to be sleeved. If it's less than 20 feet, the water line is going to have to be sleeved.
Okay. Yes, there was a approved septic plan for the existing house to the back of the lot, and Gene allowed us to do additional perk tests with the anticipation of this plan coming in at not necessarily 12 years later, but at a later date.
All right, so you will need to resubmit a plan, an administrative subdivision plan for us to go ahead and do a complete review on it before we can do any type of approval.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. And then Dean, I'll just leave the floor open for you if you have any other comments or things you want to share.
That's enough for me right now.
Okay. So that would be it for this plan for Ancient Oak.
All right.
I guess I have several things for the forest conservation plan to deal with Doug, but I don't have any questions at this time, and I can talk to him directly if I have any more.
Okay, Dean, anytime.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Hey, Christina,
Yes.
I'd just like to bring up that they did not submit a storm drain plan to us, so it's incomplete.
Okay, Dean.
Okay, so you just need comps as to where the water's going and so on and so forth.
You need to follow the storm drain checklist.
Okay.
This is WSSC. Sorry, Dean, our PM has difficulties with the plans, so he just sent me his comment, but it's nothing critical. And already water septic, they did their comments, so I send you the email with all our comments. Yes, 20 minutes ago. So I'm sorry that it's that late.
Okay.
Okay. If no one else had any comments, then that would be it for Ancient Oak.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Troy, are you the lead reviewer on this one?
Yep.
Okay, you can go ahead and bring up the plan whenever. Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm Christina Sorrento. I'm the Chief of the Intake and Regulatory Coordination Division, and this is the DRC meeting for Alta Vista Gardens Lot 9, Block A. Your lead reviewer is Troy Leftwich, and the purpose of this meeting is for you to ask any questions you might have based upon the comments that you received last week. I'll have Troy go over any of the major items we should discuss and then turn it over to the applicant. Go ahead, Troy.
Thank you, Christina. Just to give an overview, the property is located at the kind of the corner of Ipswich Road and Broad Street. Currently is an existing single family house within a existing R60 single family neighborhood. The proposal is to subdivide the property into 3 lots. Just one thing overall, just for the applicants, you probably see in a series of comments of road improvements and things like that. But within my comments, you kind of saw like 3 scenarios. I just wanted to kind of highlight that before we get into the weeds of everything. A lot of it was talking about the frontage improvements. If you were just proceeding with a subdivision within the R60 standards, there was also an option that there was an option to do an abandonment, but there's some constraints with the abandonment. We can highlight those in the midst of this conversation. And then there was also an opportunity to pursue the attainable housing strategies, which is a new strategy within the planning department that's going through the process of review and approval. It's kind of already had planning board review and meetings. So that's one thing to kind of keep in mind as you looking to develop this property. There might be some options within that initiative as well. So just wanted to at least highlight those 3 things. And then we can, go into the different aspects of the questions that you had based on the DRC comments, and we can go from there. So I'll just turn it over to you because I know there's a series of comments I just want to focus on, what was important to your end.
All right, Troy, thank you. I'm Rich Ingram with CPJ, and on the call as well as Fred Eisenhardt, the applicant with American Signature Properties. You touched on a few of these, but we'll just go through a couple that we had here. Is Marie on the call?
Yes. Yeah. Laval? Yep.
Hi, Marie. I had a question for you regarding the comment to dimension the length of Broad Street dead end. I just wanted to clarify where that dimension is taken from. Is that taken from if we extend the curb Ipswich across Broad from that point down to the end, 150 feet?
I'm sorry, could I see the plan, please?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
that one.
So it's going to depend on so from basically the point of curvature as you leave Ipswich, right? So that's where the 150-foot measurement would start.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that it wasn't from like the center line of Ipswich down to the dead end. It was from where that curve starts.
Exactly where the cursor is pointing. That's it.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Troy, you touched on a few of these here. One that I wanted to clarify was you had a comment that the project needs to address frontage requirements before a feasible subdivision can be determined. We did have a data table on the plan, the bottom left, where we showed our dimensions for frontage at property line and width at building restriction line. If there was something we were missing, or
no, that was more so just related to the frontage improvements that was coming from the transportation department. Okay. In regards of like the turnaround, what option if you were going to from the R60 standard, like I said, in regards of what y'all showed, the lots meet the R60 standard. Okay. It's just like I said, the frontage improvements I think will dictate the feasibility of that R60 standard. So that's where that comment came from.
Okay, but the plan as is submitted shows the data table and we meet the requirements.
From a subdivision standpoint, so you're on the same page, but yeah.
Okay. You had also mentioned the Attainable Housing Strategies initiative here. I think you touched on it that this has gone, planning board, some comments and stuff, but it's not adopted at this stage. That if we were to file this application, say in the next month, and came in for approval, that we wouldn't be held to that, or are we?
Well, I guess it really all depends on what the final process is of attainable housing. Just from my high level thoughts or understanding of it is that the process is the thought that there would be a by right that properties like this could essentially go to permit if they didn't necessarily need to do subdivision, depending on the configuration. But if you need to do subdivision, there would be some type of administrative process or this process. So it all depends on, you could essentially get a subdivision approve, hypothetically, say you meet all the requirements, this, that, and the third, and then still have attainable housing components that you could do on each lot. But all I'm saying is, if you were to pursue attainable housing, you might configure your subdivision a little bit differently, except for the 3 lots that you're showing, based on what type of housing type you're trying to pursue, if that makes sense.
So
Yes.
if I can interject a little bit. So
Yep.
understanding, Troy, is that the obtainable housing would be an option for us. We could go by right or obtainable housing. Is that correct?
That's the thought with that initiative. So, with attainable housing, you're looking at quadplex, triplex, duplexes. So, within those different scenarios, those are different type of lot layouts. So in those scenarios, it's the thought that would essentially be some type of permitting aspect of, if you didn't have to do subdivision. The subdivision is what's triggering all the comments from a frontage improvement, if that makes sense. But if you're, doing with everything existing lot, there may be opportunity to pursue that way. But like I said, the initiative is still going in the works. That's why I say keep tracks up on where it's going and how that process is going to play out. Like I said, I just think it's an opportunity because you're coming in around at the same time while that's going through its review and approval, if that makes sense. So
thank you.
Attainable housing at this point is in front of county council, who's reviewing it. So that will take some time.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Let's talk about Broad Street, and there was some requests for abandonment, but that also conflicted with some of the comments to flip the driveway on lot 1 from Ipswich to Broad Street. So we're looking to clarify, does Broad Street have to be abandoned, and why? Is there a section of code stating that a stub street such as this has to be abandoned?
I think the relocation of the driveway comment came if you were keeping Broad Street. I think the abandonment scenario, that's an option, but we also don't know where those center lines will lie. The conflict, you did abandonment of Broad Street. One, it has to go through MCDOT for approval, it has to go to county council, but there's also the existing house here fronts on Broad Street. So that type of frontage and layout would have to kind of be worked out. It's not the more favorable option. It's just a option that we wanted to present to you. A lot of the transportation comments that you're seeing is coming from if you were keeping Broad Street. So that driveway relocation is coming from if you were to keep Broad Street. I think if you were doing abandonment, we have to see where those center lines would lay out, and then what type of lot configuration if you were to pursue that, if that makes sense.
It's our preference to keep Broad Street as is. Abandoning it would not be beneficial. So that's what we were looking to clarify was, is abandonment required or
no?
Okay. Then the other comments as far as, flipping the driveway and the other stuff, the sidewalk extensions and the green space, green panel and stuff like that makes sense. Then the next one talks about the potential of a turnaround on Broad Street and a code section 49.33F that appears to deal with proposed streets and not existing streets. I know this also might go back to Marie with fire. We did do a quick measurement and we are less than 150 feet from Ipswich to the dead end of Broad. That is a turnaround required at the end of Broad Street.
This is Billy Whalen with DOT. If it's less than 150 feet and so you meet Marie's requirements, then no, you don't need a turnaround.
Okay.
Does
that answer your question?
Just to clarify that, so if it's under 150 feet, there's no interim turnaround too? Because I felt like I just want to get clarifications that we're all on the same page.
No, I do not think we need a hammerhead. Is that what you?
Yeah.
Yeah. think with the width of that paving and being less than 150 feet that we're okay with it.
The next one deals with the 495 managed lanes project information. It's my understanding, and first I haven't been able to find a lot of information on this. I was going to ask you guys if you could point me in the right direction on that, maybe via follow-up email. If you let me know who to email, I'll be happy to do that. But if this is a study and a concept, what weight does that have on this subdivision process right now, as far as what we're proposing? Does that, being a study and a concept, affect our plan now?
This is Richard Brockmeyer. I think that's my comment. No, it's more to make you aware that there could potentially be impacts. I would start with SHA. You could contact Kwesi Woodruff. He could point you in the right direction there of who to talk to. But it was more just an FYI.
Okay. I will definitely reach out and get whatever information I can on that. I wasn't able to find a lot just with my quick search. But I will definitely ask the question. And then we talked about the attainable housing. Give me one more second here, sorry. I think that pretty much takes care of my questions. I'll turn it over to Fred if he has anything else to follow up on.
No, I think you did a good job, Rich. Covered it, and I appreciate the staff taking a look at this. As Rich did say, it's not our desire to abandon Broad Street. Not only the process, but also when you abandon, and I'm sure you're all aware of this, then the property on the other side would have the right for half of that abandonment. And I'm sure they would have some objection for abandoning it because their house kind of is oriented towards Broad Street. So I think they would be an opposition of that. But no, I think we're good.
Or I think that's all we have then.
All right.
Hey, Rich, this is Mark Etheridge with DPS Water Resources.
Morning,
If
Mark.
I could just step in, I just want to remind you that you're going to have to show full stormwater compliance for this, for us to be able to support an approval.
Please give me a waiver, Mark.
You can see what I was thinking. For us to be able to do this, you've got to show you could do this without necessarily needing waivers, and it looks pretty tight. So I just want to bring that to your attention.
We did discuss that. Obviously right now we're just showing the concept footprints. Sure. and getting the stormwater in there. We obviously are going to go back and look at this in more detail as far as the building envelopes and leaving room for stormwater management on these lots.
All right. It just seemed like it could be some impediments, so I thought I'd bring it up. That's it.
I appreciate it, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. We appreciate it.
Any other questions? All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Christina?
Yeah.
The applicant just called. He said he can't get in either. 1 second. I'm trying to forward him the link. Unless you want to do it.
Who's the applicant on this one?
He said his name is Steve at Design O'Neill Arc. Do you see a Steve? I forwarded it to him. He said he still can't find it.
It's in the. It is in there. They're just not seeing it. Let's see. I have a design at one. iLark. Is that it?
Yeah, ilark.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just a design at though. I could try to add them in. I don't know if it's his or if it's like a general account.
Okay. You want his number to add him in or how you want to do it?
It's not letting me add him.
Can we add by a phone number?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna give you the number. 301. You ready?
Yeah.
301.
It didn't work, Angie.
I'm gonna try to send him our email again. Hold on.
They have to scroll down and the Teams link is in the bottom. Or if you could provide me with his email, I have a general email for them.
All right, let me tell them to give me another email.
Sorry, everybody, we're just trying to get the applicant on here.
Christina? Christina,
Yes. Yes.
can you try to email it to ONE?
That's the one I tried. ONEIL.
ONEILLARCH@AOL.com.
It won't let me add him.
Hopefully that one went through. Hopefully.
It won't let me. It won't let me add him directly, so I have to send it to him via email. Angie, text Teams me that email again.
Okay.
I have a design at ONE.
Not this ONE. Forget the design for ONE. It's O'Neill. CH.
At AOL.
Yeah, I just sent it to you in Teams.
Thanks. I can try dialing him in again, but he didn't pick up, so it dropped him.
Oh man. Okay.
If you want me to, if you want to give me his number again.
Yeah.
301.
301 587 8642.
Hello, this is Steve.
That's him.
Hi, Steve. We've added you
Hi.
into the GMC meeting.
Okay, by phone?
Yes, by phone.
Okay, good. It's confusing, but okay. Well, shall I just wait to hear, or am I online right now?
You're online in the meeting right now, but I'm
Okay.
about to get started. We haven't started yet. What we can do, I sent you an email as well if you want to click on the link.
I'm trying. It's I don't know what's going on here. Maybe I've got. I got an email from William Whelan at 10:41, which means I'm getting stuff from but he had made an error. He had sent me a comment that was not associated with this project, but.
Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. If you can just join by phone and listen in and discuss.
Okay. I think this will be fine. I've had telephone conversations with groups of people before without Zoom, so.
Okay.
I'm sure we can do it.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and mute you for now, and then you can unmute yourself when it's time to talk.
Okay.
All right, let's get started. Good morning, everybody. I'm Christina Sorrento. I'm the Chief of the Intake and Regulatory Coordination Division. This is the DRC meeting for Lot 38 Springbrook Estates. The lead reviewer is Tamika Graham. And today's meeting is for the applicant to ask any questions based upon the comments that they received last week. Tamika, I'll ask you to first highlight any of the major issues we should discuss and then turn it over to the applicant. So go ahead, Tamika.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Christina, and good morning, Mr. O'Neill. Thank you so much for submitting this concept plan. I hope that you found it useful and that all the agency comments are helpful. Right now, I have page or sheet 3 of your concept plan opened up on the screen that everyone is viewing at this time. And more specifically, we're looking at the composite proposed lot lines that's in the bottom right. So just to give you an idea of what everyone else in the meeting is looking at. So I'll quickly summarize some of our comments from the planning department's perspective. I would categorize them into 4 broad areas. First is environmental, lot orientation, site access and circulation, and then generally the regulatory process. I'm sure you saw from our comments, we noted that there are tributaries that run along your property. And so those water features would need to be clearly shown. They also need to have their associated buffers shown as well. And that's for us to evaluate the relationship between those features, other environmental features, with the building footprints that you're proposing. And in terms of your lot orientation, we did flag a number of sections from the code that relate to the findings that we would have to make if you decide to come in for a future subdivision application. So we gave you sections from Chapter 50 that relate to the lot design. So we will be looking at those for each of the lots that you're proposing. And then we would also be looking at sections from Chapter 59 that relate to the development standards of each of those lots. I did see that you have those tables on your plan, but there are some other requirements that were not included. And so in a subsequent application, we will be looking for all of those requirements to be clearly shown. The site access and circulation, I think that's where we may want to spend some time, and hopefully you have some questions for us and for others on the call. But as you know from some of those code sections that we gave you, the board cannot approve landlocked parcels, and they cannot approve flag lots unless they're extenuating circumstances. And when you, if and when you resubmit, you would need to clearly show in your statement of justification and on your plans how those sections are met, because right now you have a landlocked parcel You're proposing 2 additional lots that will be landlocked. And we do understand the history with Lot A. Currently, you have a temporary access agreement with the county giving you access to that property. But from what we understand in the language, that at some point in the future that is expected to be replaced with a permanent solution. And so we would just want to hear more from you about the coordination efforts that you have with the county and how you see these 3 lots having appropriate access. Even though you're
I'm sorry. I wouldn't. Good morning, everyone. I have taken myself off of mute here, and I don't know when you'd like me to address these issues, whether you want to make a list now, and I'll go down one by one. But I do agree that access to the property is, in fact, it's a big question, and my name is Stephen O'Neill, and I was party to the original subdivision of Lot 38 back in, I think it was 1989. My wife and I working with the owner of the property and the planning board. So I'm intimately familiar with how it got to be what it is today. So the first question is would you like me to comment now, or would you like to continue and go down a list of things that you'd like to talk about?
If it's okay with you, I'll just close with, I just had a couple more bullet points, and I will just turn it over to you and to the other agencies. I'm not going to go into a ton of details with all of the circulation access comments, but I do want to close with, and I guess one other important thing is the pedestrian and bicycle connection, but we can circle back to that. But I wanted just to close with the regulatory process, because this is a concept plan, as you know. Typically, because you're proposing 3 lots, it's minimal enough that it could be approved at the planning director stage, but because you have this landlocked parcel, or what it appears to be, you're trying to create flag lots, that automatically triggers planning board approval. And so when you come back in, you would need a planning board hearing. I just want to make sure that you're aware of that. You would also need to submit a separate application with your preliminary plan for your NRI or your FCP exemption. I'm not sure which one you're doing at this point. And then also, because of the relationship with Outlot A and the ownership issues, you would also need authorization from the county when you submit your preliminary plan application. So that's a quick summary of planning department concerns, and happy to hear any questions that you have or comments that you want to share with us, or we can also turn it over to other agencies that might want to highlight some major concerns that they have.
Okay. All right. Well, if you don't mind, I would just like to address the Outlot A and the access to the current lot, which is what on the drawing that you're looking at to come. It's drawing 1 at the bottom right hand side of the sheet, but it's called existing lot 101, and that's where I live. That's my house, and that was the house that was built when when the owner subdivided the property years ago. During just as a little historical background, because it's been over 30 years. Charlie Lower, I believe, was in charge of plan review at the time. I don't know if any of you recall him, and Norman Christeller was the chairman. We had submitted we were under contract with the owner to buy the lot, and the owner hadn't completed the subdivision, and he sort of utilized my my architectural expertise at the time when I was 30 years old, which I was young and naive, but I've grown a bit. But what happened was during the pre-preliminary phase, which is I believe a similar phase to where we are right now, the county had requested that we abandoned what was then known as the tail end of Valley Brook Drive, which extended from Borges Avenue to Lot 38, or at the time it was Parcel 540, and also the paper street of Meadowbrook Drive, which forms currently Outlot A. The intersection of those two streets would be at the at the apex of all the action that's going on with the line work on that drawing there. At the time, I didn't realize that there was a big issue about who was going to get property, who was going to get the property, because when you abandon the road, half goes to either side of the land that it was taken from, and it came to pass that the land was all taken from the area of what is currently Springbrook High School. So there wasn't an easy way to get me in without landlocking me. So what happened was, again, the abandonment of the road wasn't my idea; it was the county's idea. But what's happened since then is that that abandonment has taken place. I was granted an easement from Valley Brook to what's currently Lot 38. Down the center line of that road, and then there were other easements associated with it. There were some pedestrian easements. There was an equestrian easement. There was a WSSC easement. I think that's it. But they were all kind of, for convenience, located on that center line, which if you go back to the record plat, which I think is. Yeah, it's on drawing 1, the one that has the title block on the top left-hand corner. It's all pretty well spelled out right there what I just described is. And you can see my signature and my wife's signature on that drawing as well, along with the owners. What's happened since then is that the temporary easement, and I forget the width, is it 25 feet, 30 foot? Let me zoom in here. I can't read my writing here. The 25-foot temporary access easement to Lot 38 has been realigned over the years. There was a realignment that took place about 10 years ago, and what happened was the easements for the access to Lot 38 was changed from a temporary access easement to a permanent access easement, which is 27 feet wide, coming off of what appears as, if you're again looking at the record plat, the Baldwin property just to the north of the center line of the abandoned Valley Brook Drive. So there is a record on that. Somewhere on the drawings here I have that document. Maybe it's on this one. I believe it is actually. Yes, it is. In the lower left-hand corner of that same sheet, 02 existing. In the lower left-hand corner, there's another drawing which indicates the current the current permanent access easement, and the drawing just above it, the SDAT tax map, is a little bit more it's not so graphic. It's a little bit more cryptic, but it's a little bit more clear on what exactly is the easement and what's the Baldwin property and the O'Neill Lot 38. That's more of a composite thing. So this took place in 2001, and again, you know, it was created to resolve some issues that were occurring with overlapping pedestrian and vehicular traffic on my driveway. So that to clarify something that, you know, about the temporary easement, it's now a permanent access easement, but none of it really accesses Valley Brook Drive proper, because everything goes through what was lot the outlot A. Now, but in 2001. Well, no, let's go back to 1989. In 1989, the land.
Mr. O'Neill, I just want to, you have about 5 minutes left, and it sounds like you're probably going to need a future meeting with the review team, but right now you have all the different agencies on with you. So if you have specific questions that are outside of just what you might have for planning, you might want to ask them now with your 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Just to bring that to a conclusion, then, as a result of the abandonment years ago, the county basically made it so I didn't have access to the street except through an easement. So but I have that easement to clarify your understanding of it, and I'll let it go at this point so I have some other time to address some other issues if necessary.
Thank you for that. Yeah, we appreciate that. Is it okay if we go to DPS stormwater on the line?
Okay. Sure, I'm here. Yeah. Hello, sir. I'm Mark Etheridge. I'm with DPS Water Resources. Just to let you know, as part of the process, if you go forward, you'll have to show a stormwater management concept that shows that you can provide stormwater management for the proposed lots. The stream that runs along the property line that we talked about a minute ago is actually a county floodplain, and it may need to be a floodplain delineation study submitted for that. It's in addition to the FEMA floodplain. FEMA is modifying their maps now, so there might be a little bit of catch up to do there. But that process has to take place. The soils out there probably aren't very good for stormwater. And if we're not able to show that you can provide full stormwater, we will probably not be able to support the subdivision from our end, just to let you know.
Well, there was a floodplain study done in 1989 by Siebold, Gore, Newquist, and Berlinski.
Okay. Well, if you have access to that, that might be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. It's shown on the record plat. If you look on the left-hand side of the,
okay.
You know, I'm going to just refer to lot 38 as a triangle there.
Sure.
Disregarding the curve. But it's on the left-hand side of that curve. You can see the dashed line coming off there.
Yeah, if you've got a valid study already done, that would be fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, as far as the study goes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. But it's still stormwater management.
Yeah, on-lot stormwater management to current standards of ESD, that kind of stuff needs to be done, and that means showing that you can provide adequate controls for whatever an average house on the lot might be. The soils are probably going to be a limitation to you, and the general small area of the lots are going to be a limitation as well. Just the main thing I want to tell you is we have to show that it's reasonable to expect that full stormwater can be attained on the lots that are being created, or we won't be able to support the subdivision and approve a stormwater concept.
Okay. Thank you.
Christina, do we have time for one other agency comment, or should we just try to wrap this up we can set up a separate meeting?
I think if there's any other major comments, we should give them right now and then set up another meeting.
I think, do we have Marie on the line? I know fire.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
Just that if you try and add a second house to this space, you are required to install a fire department access compliant driveway. That's 20 feet wide with a 35-foot driveway apron out of the street with a compliant turnaround on site, which if you do a T turnaround, it's 140 feet for the top part. And that would be at the top of your driveway somewhere. So if you try to do a neck down driveway at 12 feet wide, you would be required to install an on-site water supply. That's either a 30,000 gallon tank or running a full private fire hydrant up there. So fire department access, I think, is going to be a big part of this project.
There is a fire hydrant that I guess WSSC put in approximately. It's within 60 feet of the property line at the at the intersection of those the Valley Brook and or at the narrow point of the triangle. It was put in a few years after we built the house here. Does that satisfy that, or you need more?
It might satisfy your water supply requirement. It does not satisfy the pavement width requirement. So that 20-foot wide driveway and then the turnaround on site has to come within 150 feet of the front door of the new unit. So it looks, if your hydrant is in that distance, the hydrant has to be within 400 feet of end of truck travel, which sounds like if that's going to happen, that would be great. Okay. But again, the 20-foot wide driveway and the turnaround would be pretty significant install.
Okay, good. Well, I have the driveway flags are all 25 feet wide running along the curved section of the property. So I think we've met that requirement. The water supply, I guess I don't know who would check that. If these civil engineers or who fire department?
You need to hire an independent company to come out and do a flow test. Your flow test will be part of your building permit application, and that hydrant will need to be able to flow 1,000 GPM. So that might be worth, if the line is private or WSSC should, if it's WSSC installed hydrant, they should be out there testing every other year. You could contact them and see if they have testing results for that hydrant. If they don't, perhaps remind them that it's a public install and that it needs to be tested.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you, Marie.
WSSC, you need to apply for a flow test. The information is in our WSSC webpage.
I'm having trouble hearing the speaker.
This is WSSC. You can go to our webpage and apply for a flow test in that fire hydrant that we have in the corner.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we need to stop now. We're over time. Mr. O'Neill, Tamika Graham is the lead reviewer, and if you have further questions, and it sounds like you probably need to talk some of this out through still, Tamika would be your contact, and she can reach out to you.
Okay, so should I just there's a list of things that I received prior to the meeting, which from all the various departments. Should I just sort of nip away these one at a time with Tamika directly, or how should I proceed at this point?
I think Tamika's your direct contact. Some of these will be with different agencies, and she could provide you guidance on who to talk to.
Okay, and she would also guide me on what the next step would be prior to. So the next step officially would be to file a more of a formal subdivision request before a public planning board hearing, correct?
Yes, Tamika can walk you through it. We are past time already, so I do have to jump to the next item, but she could tell you the next steps.
Okay.
Oh, Mr. O'Neill,
all right, well, very good. Thank you for your time, everyone. I appreciate your help, and I look forward to meeting in person one day.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Good morning. We're just transitioning over from the previous item. Give us one moment, please.
Sounds great.
All right, good morning. My name is Christina Sorrento. I'm the Chief of the Intake and Regulatory Coordination Division, and this is the DRC meeting for Two Birds Playground. Your lead reviewer is Grace Bogdan, and the purpose of this meeting is for you to ask any questions based upon the comments you received on Friday. I'll ask Grace to highlight any of the major issues we should discuss and then turn it over to the applicant. Go ahead, Grace.
Thanks, Christina. And I just want to thank the applicants for the conversation that we had last week to get more information on the proposed playground and the daycare going into this existing building. And so you received our comments on Friday. They're really straightforward because the concept plan very neatly outlined the questions that you had for us. And I think the major question was, is a site plan required for this exterior improvement for the playground? And in our comments, we said, no, we don't think a site plan amendment is required, that we think these exterior improvements can be captured within a red line drawing. And what we ask when you submit that red line drawing is to call out where the existing tree is going to be relocated, as shown on this drawing here. And I'd be happy to coordinate with you any follow-up questions you have about what exactly should be within that red line drawing. And then in the other questions that you had provided for us, there were a lot of specific sort of stormwater related questions, and we provided answers to those and provided a definition for what impervious surface is, which hopefully will clarify some of your other questions. But the existing stormwater is on site, and it doesn't appear that there's going to be any changes to those, so no further stormwater improvements would be necessary. And so with that, I can hand it over to you guys because this is pretty straightforward.
That's great. Thank you so much, Grace. And I just wanted to take a minute to thank you and everyone who did take time to comment and answer our questions. It was very helpful, very thorough. Definitely helped us understand the path forward very cleanly. So with that, I'll just make a quick introduction of who's here with us today. Chris Papp, representing the landscape architect who put together this plan here with Bradley Site Design, and with me is Ivan Zapata, also representing Bradley Site Design from the civil engineering perspective. And JP, if you want to introduce the rest of the team.
I'm JP with Two Birds, and we're also joined by Erica Cummings, who is our interior architect. I do have one little question. That tree you just mentioned, if we were to design this to not disturb the tree, then would there be a need to relocate that tree?
No, if you can design the fence area around the tree and that can stay in place, then you can just, on the red line drawing, show that it's to remain as is. That would be fine.
Okay.
So I think one of the main things, to your point, I think this can be pretty brief because you did answer the large majority of our questions. So we're just looking for minor clarification. Ivan, do you have any specific clarifications you were looking for?
Yeah, just a couple of quick items. As you mentioned, it was pretty straightforward. One of the comments was about the air pavilions, and I just wanted a clarification if that also included shade structures as well. Would shade structures be considered air pavilions?
An air pavilion?
Open air pavilion. I think that was a comment from Fire and Rescue.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Marie was able to join us today.
I'm here.
Oh, you are? Hi, Marie.
Hello.
You're back.
Hi, Marie.
I apologize. What was the question? Marie's here, but Marie might not be listening.
No worries, no worries. No, yeah, my question was about the open air pavilion. Would you guys consider shade structures as an open air pavilion, or is that?
That's going to depend. If permitting services requires a building permit for it, then yes, it is going to have to get fire department access. Open air pavilions are pretty straightforward. I'm just looking for a walking path no further than 200 feet to every point on your roof. So that's probably going to be doable for you. But we can handle that now, or you can go to DPS building permit group and ask them if they're going to require building permits. So either way you want to handle this is fine. This should be a quick review.
Okay, no worries. Thanks for clarifying that. And I think my only other comment was about the red line process. Unfortunately, I'm not that familiar with that portion. But is there a checklist that I could follow, or do you have a checklist online? And what is the procedure to submit? Is it through the typical preliminary plan review, or what type of
No,
application?
so there's really no checklist, but because this is such a small exterior improvement, typically what we require is a drawing similar to this one, but just with slightly more detail showing what exactly is going to be within this fenced playground area. And what I can do is typically after concept plans, after this DRC meeting, what we provide you with is a written memo, really capturing again some of the comments that we had sent to you on Friday, and then anything that comes up in this conversation now. So what I can do is in that memo, clarify what exactly should be on that red line drawing, and then how you can submit that to us.
Perfect, thank you. I think I see Ariel's hand is up.
Yes, good morning. This is Eli at the Environmental Planning Review. So I do have a question. Maybe Grace can help me with this. I see that you did have a forest conservation couple years ago. So if you decide to remove some of the trees that they were considered for mitigation, sorry, if you remove some trees back in the day and you mitigated for it, and it just happened that are those trees within the LOD, you may have to do a forest conservation plan amendment. But unfortunately, I'm trying to look back and I don't see which trees you did put it back. Yeah. So
Ariella, I think I can help you because I did that amendment a couple years ago, and I'm pretty sure they ended up not mitigating on site and doing a fee and lieu payment. So those should be landscape trees. But I think I'm not sure if you joined late, but they said that they might be able to do the playground without relocating those trees.
Yeah, as from the eyes of two birds, we like trees. They provide natural shade for our children, and so we'll be working with Bradley Site Design to find ways to include the trees if possible. They're beautiful, they're decorative. There's a lot of benefits to having them. So it's not our intent to, unless absolutely necessary, to remove the trees.
So I will need to go back to you because I'm not sure if they were not included in the landscape. If you did pay for, you should be okay. You may have to request a forest conservation exemption. But let me go back to you because it's either to have a forest conservation exemption or forest conservation plan amendment. Yeah.
Yeah, real quick, this is Stephanie Dickel, the regulatory supervisor for Down County. I think since we're just going to be doing a red line, we can coordinate everything for you, and as long as you guys aren't touching any of the existing trees, we should be fine, and we can handle it through you submitting something to myself and Grace.
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely we'll make sure to do our best to stay outside the root zones.
Sounds good.
And I think from my end, that from a site perspective, I think that's all I had. Like you said, it was pretty easy. So I'll open it up to JP and his team if they had any additional questions.
No questions from me.
Okay. I think that wraps up everything on our end. Again, thank you for the very straightforward comment responses. Makes today's meeting hopefully quite brief.
Great. Thank you so much, and I'll get that memo to you shortly.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wasn't.
All right, good morning, everybody. I am Christina Sorrento. I'm the Chief of the Intake and Regulatory Coordination Division, and this is your DRC discussion item for Park Lawn Self-Storage, North Bethesda Industrial Center. Your lead reviewer is Parker Smith, and we're just having this item as to be able to discuss it. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded. Parker, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Christina. Yeah, so you should be able to see the plan on the screen. Yeah, so just to get started with sort of an overview, I think staff is supportive of this zoning change, this LMA, based on the language of the master plan, the White Flint 2 sector plan, as well as the surrounding zoning and the surrounding uses in the area. So staff is generally supportive of that zoning change. You probably noticed one of our comments was to encourage the applicant team to explore the possibility of some more active uses along the street frontage. We're not against a self-storage use in this area. I think just to the south is another existing self-storage use. We're just always looking for a mix of uses that can activate the space as much as possible, especially along the street frontage. So we'd appreciate just sort of thinking about or exploring the opportunity for, obviously we would love residential or commercial, but even some light industrial uses similar to the property to the north, I think we think would be maybe great in this location. So just something to keep in mind, something to think about. And yeah, I think the other comments were probably pretty straightforward. It's fairly similar to the White Oak self-storage project we did over on New Hampshire Avenue. So yeah, I'll turn to the applicant for any questions.
Great. Thanks, Parker. And thank you all for scheduling this for a discussion item at DRC. I think it's always very helpful to get the comments on these LMA applications as well early on. So appreciate everyone's time in reviewing the plans and giving us your feedback at this stage. I think you're right, Parker. A number of the comments were really self-explanatory, and I think we can really just address those kind of with a resubmission as we kind of move through the process. There was just a few that we wanted to chat with everyone about today to get some clarification and kind of have some discussion on in no particular order. The first really is amenity open space. There's a couple different comments regarding that, the design of the and location of the amenity open space. So I know there was a comment about kind of providing a public amenity. I don't know if that was like what the specific kind of thought was behind that. I mean, obviously, amenity open space by its definition is supposed to be kind of outdoor recreation or natural amenities for the employees or visitors that come to this site. And so we had really kind of proposed having that area both up along Park Lawn to kind of help activate the streetscape, but then also are thinking about maybe more of like an employee area kind of towards the rear, and certainly can look towards incorporating additional plantings in that rear area, which I think was a suggestion that Natasha had. So we'll explore that. And really, I just want to clarify, I guess, in terms of details, right, being an LMA and then site plan comes later. I mean, our thinking is that right now we're kind of just thinking about high level concepts for that amenity open space. We'll certainly flesh out the details when we get to the site plan stage later on. Want to make sure that aligns with kind of what you guys are looking for right now. Okay, I'm seeing Parker shaking his head.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, we look forward to seeing further details as we move along.
Okay. The other thing I think, just to hit on that, there was Natasha, I think it was your comment, or I think so, was about providing a double row of trees up along Park Lawn. We looked at it very preliminarily after getting the comment. I don't think that one's feasible given kind of the right-of-way configuration, the PUE that's right up against there. But we can look at kind of some of the other suggestions and then kind of work with you guys on a concept as we move forward. Anything that our team would add to that?
Yeah, Liz, I can kind of talk about that.
Sure.
So as Parker kind of mentioned, like we try to make Park Lawn a little bit more active along the frontage. So any sort of active use on that ground floor would be helpful. And kind of like one of the suggestion was like a double row of trees along the sidewalk and creating some sort of like seating benches, anything that help creating like an active usage. Like those are like some of the suggestions that we have. But I know that this is LMA, it's very like preliminary at this point, but we just want to kind of like continue the conversation through the site plan application.
Okay, great. Well, we'll start to evaluate that. As I mentioned, I think the double row trees, when we looked at it, I think will be tough, but we'll give some more thought to, ways that we can use landscaping or other features to kind of activate that frontage a little bit more. I think that, and this kind of segues into the architectural comments. Certainly, Natasha, really appreciated your comments and kind of recognizing the iteration that we've already kind of gone through with our preliminary meetings with you all to kind of advance the building design, which I think has been really successful here. And we are really trying to kind of, with this use, kind of activate, pull the building up through the design elements, activate that frontage. And we'll look at if there's ways to kind of expand that mural. It was a specific comment, so we'll certainly take that in consideration as we evolve the design. I think the activating uses, changing the uses is really, I mean, ArcLink can speak, is not going to work here, but we can look at what we can do through other kind of features or just site design or building design elements to kind of continue to work with you all on kind of achieving that overall goal.
Sounds good. Thank you, Liz.
So once we digest it all, and I'm sure we'll be speaking more and circling back on that. Okay, and then the next one, I mean, I think this will be a short meeting because, like Parker, you mentioned, they were pretty straightforward, was streetscape. We just wanted to touch on that while we had everyone on the call. So the first was seeking a clarification. There was kind of competing comments about kind of the streetscape elements and their widths, because there's some competing recommendations in the White Flint Design Guidelines and Complete Streets. And so just wanted to get clarity on which one really kind of governs here. We were following Complete Streets, but wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that.
Yeah, it should follow the White Flint 2 design guides. So I know Complete Streets would have some slightly different widths, but yeah, please follow the White Flint 2 sector plan design guidelines.
Okay.
Which I think the only difference was a 7-foot planting strip instead of a 6-foot.
Okay. Thank you for that. So as you've seen, the other kind of big comment on the streetscape was just this constraint that we have with utility pole. I mean, unfortunately, that pole can't be relocated. There's just, if you just look at it on Google Street View, there's a lot going on that pole, including wires that are going across the street to the residential. There's obviously an incredible amount of infrastructure on the pole itself. So we were trying to kind of balance those competing objectives by, obviously meandering the path in front of it. I totally understand that, that pinches the buffer down. We tried to maintain some buffer. So there's like an 11 linear foot stretch of that path that has just that 2-foot constrained buffer. There's other challenges, though, too, in terms of kind of snaking it behind the pole, not only just the guy wires that go back behind that utility pole, but also grade, and then also the PUE. So, Pat, maybe I'll let you jump in, or Dylan, to kind of explain that a little bit more.
Yeah, you can kind of see it on Street View. I don't know if you have that open, Parker. I see you got Google Maps open, but if you look at it on Street View, you can kind of see the poles there, and then there's a pretty big slope right behind it. Our original efforts were to, put the path in front of the pole, because what that allows you to do is just kind of, maybe fill in front of it, or worse, to have like a little cheek wall behind the pole and leave the, pole sort of intact. When we put it behind it,
yeah, you're one
yeah,
pole
it's
past it.
a little further down. Yeah.
Turn
that one's nice and flat.
There you go.
Yeah, so when we put the hole behind, if you kind of go down a little further, you can see. So there's about like 2 feet of grade change, I think, between that sidewalk and that curb. So, and of course, that little curb that jogs in to the inlet, that's going away, but the pole will remain. So, in order to jog the path behind the pole, you have to cut the grade down by about 2 feet. Now we're talking about potentially undermining the pole. So we have to investigate all that to see whether it's feasible or not. But that's the challenge. That's the reason why we went in front of it originally, and that's the challenge with going behind it, is just the undercutting of that pole. And then obviously, as Liz said, the guy wires, you can see there's 2 of them there, and each guy wire has multiple supports. So it's a lot supported there. We just need to investigate the engineering behind working around that thing.
Yeah, understand the constraints. I don't know if somebody from DOT wants to weigh in on this, but yeah, I think our strong desire is to not to somehow not have the side path go right against the curb. So if you can continue to look at alternatives as we get into site plan, that'd be great. But I don't know if anybody from DOT wants to weigh in as well.
This is Deepak. Yeah, I agree with Richard. You want path as Richard was mentioning, as he was mentioning too. We would like to see the path behind if that pole cannot be relocated. If you could provide some cost estimate as well to relocate that pole, that will be good. But we would like you to investigate to run that sidewalk behind that pole if that cannot be relocated.
Thanks, Deepak. Richard also mentioned there sort of the transition to site plan. This is obviously getting into the weeds with Petco in terms of how we work around the pole, how we move the guy wires, costs, and cost estimates. Could some of that or all of that be a condition of site plan, to be addressed at site plan, just to keep the LMA moving, since it might take fairly detailed engineering analysis at this stage to figure some of that out? I mean, that's a question for Parker. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can defer to Richard and Deepak too on how they want to deal with this process-wise. I would think that that's a detail beyond a typical LMA.
Yeah,
That's
this
fine
can
with me
just
too.
this was just flagging it to make sure that it was on your radar. But yeah, I don't think it needs to be resolved as part of the LMA.
Okay.
Great. Well, those were the three we have. I know that Dylan and Pat have a separate kind of follow-up meeting arranged with DOT to get into some of those more detailed comments and technical design items. So I don't think we need otherwise any other follow-ups now. We'll work on kind of obviously digesting and revising the plans and kind of giving thought to some of these comments that we've received, and then just circle back, Parker, with you and your team kind of on the next step as we move through this. So the only other question I guess I have is just if you have a sense, Parker, in terms of just confirming some of the dates we're kind of aiming for. I know this is a little bit less traditional in terms of the formal sequencing being an LMA, but.
Yeah, I can follow up with an email with with our sort of tentative schedule.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay. Sounds good.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. We appreciate it.
Thank
All
you.
right. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.